On March 9, 2021 in Cuyahoga Valley National Park, Ohio, a group of hikers discovered a lifeless body in a remote forested area. The murder was carried out with cold precision, leaving few immediate clues. The scene contained only the body, a bottle of spring water, and unanswered questions. Who did this, and why the Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI) quickly took over, realizing that this was not just a simple murder but a complex story of revenge, trauma, and failures of the justice system. It took significant time and resources for the police to identify the perpetrator. The case rapidly became a focal point for the media and the public, not only due to its brutality but also because of its deeper implications. It raised questions about justice, vengeance, and how society treats victims of sexual abuse. The case was a whirlwind of tragedy and moral conflict. To understand how this gripping pursuit unfolded, let's follow the FBI as they track down and apprehend the perpetrator. On the morning of March 9, 2021, a group of hikers in the Terra Vista Natural Study Area of Cuyahoga Valley National Park discovered the body of Matthew Dunmire. He was lying face down with a gunshot wound to the back of his head. Investigators at the scene determined that the death was not a suicide, as the angle and position of the bullet indicated the victim was attacked from behind. No weapon was found near the body, and Dunmire's phone was missing, complicating the initial search for clues. The FBI, in collaboration with the National Park Service, confirmed this was a murder on federal land, granting them jurisdiction. Investigators collected a spring water bottle near the scene, along with physical evidence such as hair and fingerprints. Nearby hikers reported hearing a gunshot between 11:30 and 11:50 a.m. On March 6th, helping to establish the time of the crime, another couple reported encountering a woman dressed in black, wearing a hooded jacket and knee-high boots, who appeared lost. The woman briefly mentioned she was lost, but her cold demeanor stood out to them. The victim was later identified as Matthew Dunmire, a 31-year-old aspiring musician living in Cleveland, Ohio, originally from Virginia. Dunmire was described by friends as friendly, passionate about music, and striving to build a career in the entertainment industry. However, he also had a complicated past, including an allegation of raping a woman named Perkins in 2017, according to Virginia Beach Police. The allegation was not prosecuted due to insufficient evidence. The FBI interviewed Dunmire's friends and colleagues to gain insight into his final days. A co-worker at Tiki Underground, a bar Dunmire frequented, reported that on the evening of March 5th, Dunmire mentioned he was meeting a woman from out of town. The co-worker witnessed Dunmire getting into a white car driven by a dark-haired woman, a detail that later became a critical clue. Through analysis of Dunmire's phone records and social media, the FBI uncovered a connection to Chelsea Perkins. Perkins, 35, was a former U.S. and Coast Guard member who had retired and transitioned to modeling on OnlyFans under the alias Sabrina Savage. She lived in Alexandria, Virginia, with her husband, also a former service member. Perkins and Dunmire attended the same high school in Virginia, and their relationship appeared to have soured after the 2017 rape allegation. The FBI verified the 2017 allegation with Virginia Beach Police, according to the report. Perkins accused Dunmire of rape, but the case was not prosecuted due to a lack of physical evidence and conflicting testimonies. This outcome appeared to leave a profound psychological scar on Perkins, becoming the primary motive for the murder. Court records later revealed that Perkins suffered from schizoaffective disorder and had endured multiple traumas from childhood, including mental, emotional, and sexual abuse. A key detail in identifying Perkins as a suspect was a public Facebook post she made in February 2021. "Dead men tell no tale sick. People who are dead don't tell stories." This post, combined with GPS data from her phone, showed she traveled from Virginia to Ohio around the time of the crime. The FBI's investigation began with analyzing the crime scene. The single bullet wound to the back of Dunmire's head indicated a deliberate and professional execution. Investigators collected DNA samples from the spring water bottle and the body, as well as analyzed soil and plant samples to determine the perpetrator's movements. However, the absence of the murder weapon and the victim's phone forced investigators to rely on indirect evidence. The FBI interviewed individuals present at the park on March 6th. A hiking couple provided a detailed description of the woman they encountered, approximately 5'5" tall, dressed in black, wearing a hooded jacket, and displaying an odd demeanor. This description matched Perkins's appearance, particularly her distinctive style, including knee-high boots. A breakthrough came from digital data analysis. The FBI obtained Dunmire's phone records and discovered messages between him and Perkins in the days leading up to his death, although Perkins had deleted these messages from her account. The FBI recovered portions of the data from Facebook's servers. The messages revealed that Perkins initiated contact with Dunmire, proposing a meeting in Cleveland. GPS data from Perkins's phone was pivotal evidence. It showed she drove from Alexandria, Virginia, to Hudson, Ohio, on March 5th and was present at Cuyahoga Valley National Park on the morning of March 6th. Traffic cameras and license plate readers also captured Perkins's white smart car, adorned with distinctive stickers like "Virginia is for lovers," on routes from Virginia to Ohio. On March 30th, 2021, the FBI executed a search warrant at Perkins's home in Arlington, Virginia. Agents discovered 3 9mm handguns, including one stored in a purse containing Perkins's identification. Subsequent ballistic analysis determined that this gun fired a bullet with characteristics similar to the one that killed Dunmire, though it was not conclusive due to technical limitations. Additionally, the FBI seized Perkins's phone, computer, and personal documents for further analysis. During initial questioning, Perkins denied any involvement in the murder. She claimed she had not left Virginia at the time and had not contacted Dunmire in years. However, digital and physical evidence contradicted her statements, leading the FBI to continue focusing on her as the primary suspect. After the murder, Perkins attempted to cover her tracks. Around 12:45 p.m. on March 6th, she unfriended Dunmire on Facebook and deleted all messages between them. She also drove to Family Ink Tattoo in Waterford, Michigan, to get a tattoo of a noose with the phrase "tighten up." Prosecutors later viewed this tattoo as a symbol of her revenge, reflecting her mindset after killing Dunmire. The FBI also discovered that Perkins had booked an Airbnb in Cleveland's University Circle area using her credit card. Airbnb staff provided information about a dark-haired woman matching Perkins's description who used the apartment on the night of March 5th. These details strengthened the connection between Perkins and the case. The murder was not a spontaneous act, but the result of meticulous planning. Perkins had reconnected with Dunmire via Facebook, pretending to want to reconnect, booked an Airbnb in Cleveland to facilitate the meeting, chosen Cuyahoga Valley National Park, a remote location, to carry out the murder, carried a 9mm handgun and attempted to stage the scene as a suicide. Prosecutors argued that Perkins acted with clear intent and showed no immediate remorse, as evidenced by her getting a tattoo shortly after the crime. On May 27, 2025, just 1 week before the scheduled trial, Chelsea Perkins unexpectedly pleaded guilty to 2 charges: second-degree murder and using a firearm in a violent crime on federal land. During the hearing before Judge Solomon Oliver, Perkins briefly answered yes when asked if she killed Matthew Dunmire and used a gun. The plea deal, negotiated between Perkins's attorney and prosecutors, ensured that, if approved by the court, she would face 20 to 25 years in prison instead of a mandatory life sentence for first-degree murder. Perkins's guilty plea did not include a detailed public statement about her motives or emotions. However, her defense attorney emphasized that her actions were influenced by trauma from the 2017 rape allegation and mental health issues. They argued that Perkins did not act with cold malice, but in a disturbed psychological state, a factor that could be considered during sentencing. Although Perkins pleaded guilty, prosecutors presented a robust case to ensure the plea deal was approved. They emphasized that Perkins meticulously planned and executed the murder, from luring Dunmire to Ohio to attempting to erase evidence afterward. DNA evidence, GPS data, and ballistic analysis were presented to support the argument that Perkins was the sole perpetrator. Perkins' defense attorney, while acknowledging her crime, urged the court to consider her personal circumstances. They provided medical documentation of her schizoaffective disorder diagnosis and history of trauma. arguing these factors diminished her criminal responsibility. Prosecutors countered, stressing that Perkins was capable of planning and executing a complex crime, indicating full awareness of her actions. The sentencing hearing was scheduled for September 9, 2025, at the federal courthouse in Cleveland. Judge Oliver will determine the final sentence based on the plea agreement and mitigating factors presented. The case did not end with Dunmire's death or Perkins' arrest. In a shocking twist, Dunmire's mother, Tommy Lynn, Dunmire 54, and her partner, John Nelson McQuillan, took justice into their own hands. Frustrated by the slow progress of the FBI investigation, Tommy Lynn conducted her own inquiry and identified a woman in Washington, D.C. as Perkins. On November 5, 2021, Tommy Lynn, disguised as a UPS delivery worker, knocked on an apartment door in Washington, D.C. When a 30-year-old woman answered, Tommy Lynn shot her twice in the abdomen. Fortunately, the victim was not Perkins and survived the attack. Following the incident, Tommy Lynn and McQuillan fled, changing their vehicle's license plates to evade detection. Police pursued them to Florida, where Tommy Lynn took her own life with the same gun used in the attack. McQuillan was arrested and later pleaded guilty to being an accessory after the fact to assault with intent to kill, receiving a sentence of 3 years and 6 months in prison. This incident highlighted the grief and desperation of Dunmire's family, but also underscored the tragic consequences of vigilante justice. The victim of the Washington, D.C. attack suffered severe physical and psychological trauma, becoming an innocent casualty in this chain of tragedies. The Chelsea Perkins case sparked widespread debates about justice, revenge, and the legal system's handling of rape allegations. On social media platforms like Reddit and X, public opinion split into two camps. Some expressed sympathy for Perkins, arguing she acted out of helplessness after the unresolved 2017 rape allegation. They viewed her as a victim of a flawed legal system, forced to seek justice herself. Others condemned her actions, emphasizing that vigilante justice is illegal and dangerous, regardless of personal motives. The case also highlighted issues surrounding mental health and support for victims of sexual abuse. Court records revealed Perkins faced multiple traumas throughout her life, and her schizoaffective disorder diagnosis may have influenced her decisions. However, prosecutors stressed that her actions were planned and intentional, not impulsive. Within the OnlyFans community and the adult entertainment industry, the case prompted discussions about safety and psychological pressures faced by workers in the field. Some OnlyFans models expressed concern that the case could amplify negative stereotypes about their profession, while others called for better support for abuse victims. Currently, Perkins is detained at Mahoning County Jail, where she is receiving treatment for her mental health condition. Her 20 to 25-year sentence means she will spend much of her remaining life behind bars. Upon release, she will face significant challenges reintegrating into society, particularly given her criminal record and public scrutiny. The Perkins case raises critical questions for the legal system and society. How can we better support victims of sexual abuse, especially when allegations go unprosecuted? How can we prevent acts of personal vengeance without deepening feelings of injustice? And how can we balance punishing crime with addressing the mental health issues of offenders? Legal experts suggest the case could spark discussions about reforming the handling of rape allegations, including improving evidence collection processes and providing psychological support for victims. It also underscores the importance of mental health services to prevent violent acts stemming from trauma. To fully understand Perkins' actions, her psychological context must be considered. Schizoaffective disorder, as diagnosed in Perkins, is a serious mental health condition characterized by episodes of mania and depression that can impair decision-making. During manic phases, individuals may act impulsively or feel overly confident, while depressive phases can lead to feelings of hopelessness or fixation on past injustices. Childhood trauma and the 2017 rape allegation likely exacerbated Perkins' condition. Psychologists note that survivors of sexual abuse often experience post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD), which can manifest as anger, fear, or a desire to regain control over their lives. In Perkins' case, the legal system's failure to prosecute Dunmire may have reinforced her sense of powerlessness. driving her to an extreme act to reclaim justice. The case also reflects broader societal challenges related to justice and sexual abuse. According to the Rape, Abuse and Incest National Network (RAIN), only about 25% of reported rape cases lead to an arrest, with an even lower conviction rate. This fosters a sense of injustice for many victims, particularly those who lack adequate support from the legal system. Additionally, the case highlights stigma against workers in the adult entertainment industry. As an OnlyFans model, Perkins faced moral and lifestyle judgments that may have shaped public perceptions of her story. Some social media posts focused on her profession rather than her psychological context or the rape allegation, overshadowing the case's complexities. The case concludes as a tragic tale of revenge, justice, and unintended consequences. It serves as a reminder of the intricate issues surrounding sexual abuse, mental health, and the line between justice and vengeance. As Perkins awaits her final sentencing in September 2025, her story will continue to spark debate and reflection for years to come. It calls for a fairer legal system, better support for victims, and a society willing to address individuals' deep psychological wounds. The case concludes here. Thank you for following this story, and we hope you found it engaging. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on the latest cases.